The Painters of the Dark. A Story of Life in the Ice Age Caves. Chapter 1, The Last Fire. The wind howled like a dying beast at the mouth of the cave, but inside, the air was still, thick with the scent of smoke, damp earth, and the musky odor of hides. Korok, the eldest of the people of the bear, poked at the embers of the central fire with a stick of blackthorn, his gnarled fingers tracing patterns in the ashes. The fire was low, dangerously low. If it died, the spirits would abandon them, and the cold would creep in like a thief in the night. More wood, he grunted to Tana, his granddaughter, who was crouched near the fire, her dark eyes reflecting the flickering flames. She nodded and scrambled to the back of the cave where the last of their dry wood was stacked. The clan had been rationing it for moons, ever since the great storm had snapped the trees like twigs and buried the forest in ice. Tana returned with an armful of branches, her breath fogging in the cold air. She fed the fire carefully, watching as the flames licked at the wood, hungry. "The spirits are restless tonight," she murmured, more to herself than to Korok. The old man grunted in agreement. The fire crackled, and for a moment, the shadows on the wall seemed to move at the great aurochs, the leaping deer, the mammoth with tusks like curved moons, all painted by the hands of those who had come before. "They watch us," Korok said, following her gaze. "The ancestors. They are always watching." Tana shivered, though not from the cold. She had heard the stories since she was old enough to crawl, how the first of their people had painted the walls with the blood of beasts and the juice of berries, how the spirits of the animals had come to life in the dark, how the cave itself was a living thing, breathing with them. But tonight, the paintings seemed more alive than ever. The aurochs' eyes gleamed in the firelight, and the deer appeared to prance across the stone. "Tomorrow," Korok said suddenly, "you will paint." Tana's heart leapt. She had been waiting for this moment since she was a child, since she had first watched her mother dip her fingers in the red ochre and trace the outline of a horse on the wall. But her mother was gone now, taken by the coughing sickness the winter before, and the responsibility fell to Tana. She was the last painter of the clan. "I will be ready," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Korok nodded, his eyes gleaming in the firelight. "The spirits will guide you," he said. "But remember, child, we do not paint for ourselves. We paint for the herd, for the hunt, for the life of the clan. The beasts must know we honor them." Tana swallowed hard. She had heard the warnings: if the paintings were not done right, if the spirits were not pleased, the herds would vanish, the hunts would fail, and the clan would starve. "I will not fail," she whispered. Korok reached into the pouch at his belt and pulled out a small, smooth stone, its surface worn by time and handling. He pressed it into Tana's palm. "This was your mother's," he said. "She carried it when she painted. Now it is yours." Tana closed her fingers around the stone, feeling its warmth, its weight. It was more than a stone. It was a promise. Chapter 2, The Gathering of Colors. The next morning, Tana woke before the others. The cave was still, the fire reduced to embers, the air thick with the scent of sleep and damp earth. She slipped out from beneath her hide blanket and crept to the back of the cave, where the paintings of the ancestors covered the walls in a riot of reds, blacks, and yellows. Her mother had shown her this place when she was just a girl. "Here," she had said, tracing the outline of a great mammoth with her finger, "the past speaks to us." "And here," she had added, pointing to a blank stretch of wall, "the future waits." Tana knelt before the wall, her breath quickening. Today, she would add to the story. First, she needed the colors. She moved to the far corner of the cave, where a pile of pigments was stored in hollowed-out shells and animal bladders. Her mother had taught her how to make them. Red ochre, ground from stones found near the river, mixed with fat to make it stick to the walls. Black, made from charcoal crushed with water from the stalactites, as dark as the night sky. Yellow, from the earth near the hot springs, bright as the sun on a summer's day. White, from the bones of the beasts they hunted, ground fine as dust. Tana selected a shell of red ochre and a bladder of fat. She mixed them carefully, her fingers working the paste until it was smooth. Then she took a piece of charcoal and began to sketch on the wall a horse, its mane flying like the wind, its legs stretched in a gallop. But something was missing. She closed her eyes and pressed her palm to the stone. "Show me," she whispered. The cave seemed to hold its breath. Then, in the silence, she heard it, a whisper, like the wind through the trees. The herd. Tana's eyes flew open. Of course. The horse was not alone. It was part of a herd, running together, their hooves thunderous, their breath steaming in the cold air. She dipped her fingers in the red ochre and began to paint. Chapter 3, The First Stroke. The clan stirred as Tana worked. One by one, they gathered behind her, watching in silence as she traced the outlines of the horses on the wall. The red ochre gleamed wetly in the firelight, the lines bold and sure. Korok stood at her shoulder, his presence a comfort. "The spirits are with you," he murmured. Tana didn't answer. She was lost in the rhythm of the painting, her fingers moving as if guided by something beyond herself. She could feel the horse's breath on her skin, hear the thunder of their hooves in her ears. The cave seemed to hum around her, the paintings on the walls pulsing with life. She worked for hours, oblivious to the passage of time. The horses took shape, 5 of them, running together, their manes and tails flowing like rivers. She added the details, the flare of their nostrils, the wildness in their eyes, and then, with a deep breath, she stepped back. The clan exhaled as one. The horses seemed to leap from the stone, their energy so vivid it was as if they might gallop right off the wall and into the cave. "It is good," Korok said, his voice thick with emotion. "The spirits will be pleased." Tana wiped her hands on her tunic, leaving streaks of red on the hide. She felt lightheaded, as if she had run a great distance. But she was not done. "There is more," she said. She turned to the blank stretch of wall beside the horses. She had seen something in her dreams, a great aurochs, its horns curved like the moon, its eyes dark and knowing. It had stood before her, snorting steam, and she had known it was a sign. She selected the black pigment and began to paint. Chapter 4, The Dance of the Beasts. As Tana painted the aurochs, the clan began to chant. It was an old song, passed down from the first painters, a song that called the spirits of the beasts into the cave. "Oh, great one," they sang, "we honor you. We ask for your strength, your speed, your life. Come to us in the hunt. Feed us, clothe us, keep us alive." Tana's fingers moved faster, the black lines of the aurochs taking shape. She could feel its presence, its power, as if it stood beside her, watching. The cave seemed to breathe, the air thick with the scent of earth and beast. When she finished, she stepped back again. The aurochs was magnificent, its horns sweeping, its muscles rippling beneath its hide. The clan fell silent, awed. Then Korok began to dance. He moved slowly at first, his old bones creaking, but soon the rhythm took him. He stomped his feet, mimicking the charge of the aurochs, and the others joined in, stomping, clapping, singing. The cave echoed with the sound, the paintings seeming to pulse with the beat. Tana closed her eyes and let the music wash over her. She could feel the beasts around her, their spirits alive in the dark. She knew, without a doubt, that the hunt would be good. Chapter 5, The Hunt. 3 days later, the hunters returned. They had followed the tracks of a herd of horses to the edge of the frozen forest, where the trees gave way to a vast, windswept plain. There, they had found the herd exactly as Tana had painted them, their coats gleaming in the weak sunlight. The hunt had been swift. The spirits had guided their spears true, and now the clan would eat for moons. That night, as the fires burned high and the clan feasted on roasted horseflesh, Korok turned to Tana. "You have done well," he said. "The spirits have heard you." Tana smiled, her heart full. But as she looked around the cave, at the faces of her people, she knew there was more to do. The walls were vast, and the stories of the clan were endless. "I will paint again," she said. Korok nodded. "The cave is never finished," he said. "Just as we are never finished. There is always more to say, more to remember." And so, as the fire crackled and the shadows danced on the walls, Tana began to plan her next painting, a great mammoth, its tusks like spears, its eyes wise and knowing. For the people of the bear, the story was just beginning. Chapter 6, The Threat from the Ice. But the world outside the cave was changing. The ice was spreading, creeping closer to the forest where the clan hunted. The herds were growing scarce, And the other clans, the wolf people, the elk people, the cruel and desperate ice eaters, were growing bolder. One evening, as Tana mixed her pigments, a hunter named Rock burst into the cave, his face pale. "The ice eaters," he gasped. "They come. They have taken our traps, our stores. They say the cave is theirs." A murmur of fear rippled through the clan. The ice eaters were known for their brutality. They took what they wanted, and they left nothing behind. Korok's face darkened. "We do not fight," he said. "We are not warriors. But we will not give them our home." Tana looked at the paintings on the walls, the horses, the aurochs, the deer. "We will show them," she said. Chapter 7: The Painting of Peace. The next morning, as the ice eaters approached the cave, Tana stood at the entrance, a torch in her hand. The leader of the ice eaters, a hulking man named Varek, sneered at her. "You have nothing," he said. "We take this place." Tana did not flinch. "Come," she said. "See what we have." She led them into the cave, where the fire burned bright and the paintings glowed in the torchlight. Varek's eyes widened as he took in the horses, the aurochs, the deer alive on the walls, their spirits watching him. "This is magic," he breathed. "This is our pact with the spirits," Tana said. "We give them beauty, and they give us life. If you take this place, the spirits will abandon you. The herds will vanish. The ice will claim you." Varek hesitated. He had heard the stories of the painted caves, of the clans that had angered the spirits and vanished into the cold. He looked at his men, their faces pale in the firelight. "We will take only what you can spare," he said at last. Tana nodded. "Then we are agreed." Chapter 8: The Legacy. Years passed. Tana grew older, her hands stained permanently with ochre and charcoal, her hair streaked with gray. She taught her daughter, Mira, the secrets of the pigments, the language of the walls. "The cave is our book," she told her. "It tells our story, so that even when we are gone, we are not forgotten." Mira listened, her eyes wide. She had grown up watching her mother paint, had felt the same pull of the spirits, the same need to tell their story. "Will you paint with me?" she asked one evening, as the fire burned low. Tana smiled. "Always," she said. Together, they mixed the pigments and traced the outline of a great bear on the wall, symbol of their clan, guardian of their people. As they worked, Tana felt the presence of the ancestors around them, their hands guiding hers. She knew that as long as the paintings endured, the clan would endure with them. And so, in the heart of the dark, the people of the bear lived on, not just in flesh and bone, but in color and story, in the echoes of the cave and the memories of the earth.